So it is recommended for individuals who've had COVID, recovered, and may have antibodies to still go on and get the vaccine.
If you've recovered from COVID-19 and now have antibodies, should you still get vaccinated? Tonight, we verify.
Plus, a big announcement from Governor Inslee tonight. The entire state will stay in phase 2 for the foreseeable future. No moving forward, no moving back. What local restaurant owners are saying.
Strong winds are moving through the area tonight. I'm tracking how long that will last for Friday. That plus some more snow possible for parts of the inland Northwest.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 11 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Hello everyone, I'm Regina Ahn. Well, we do have some new information tonight about the victim in the Spokane Valley shooting we told you about last night.
The victim, still yet to be identified, is now in stable condition after suffering life-threatening injuries after that shooting on East 7th Avenue. The suspects in the shooting have yet to be found. However, we did learn that police say they are familiar with the house where that shooting took place. According to the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, 2 other shootings have been reported at the same house. One back in 2019, the other in 2020.
Now, this comes on the heels of Spokane police reporting an increase in shootings. Earlier this week, SPD reported the number of shootings from January to February of this year was 4 times higher than this time in 2020. Let's get to your other top headlines now. We're getting more information as to why it took the Pullman Police Department more than a year to gather charging recommendations in a student's death.
Yesterday, police recommended hazing charges in the death of WSU freshman Sam Martinez, but the statute of limitations for hazing has expired, meaning those charges cannot be prosecuted. Furnishing liquor to a minor charges also recommended. The report did not recommend manslaughter charges. Those recommendations will now go to the Whitman County prosecutor. Pullman Police Chief Gary Jenkins spoke with us today to explain why it took more than a year to produce the recommendations.
The logistics of trying to set up in-person interviews with all the witnesses who many were not in Pullman when we were trying to interview them really added to the timeline of completing this investigation.
Now, a lawyer for the San Martinez family provided us this statement here today about the charging recommendations. The statement reads in part, quote, "It is with great sorrow and disappointment for the Martinez family to hear the news that the investigation was not completed in time to bring forward all of the potential criminal charges against the individuals who played a role in the hazing death of their beloved son and brother, San Martinez. This has been an unbearable, overwhelmingly painful experience for the Martinez family. However, they remain resolute." We want to warn you the details of this next story might be disturbing. A Spokane woman was found dead in her home just days after winning the jackpot at Northern Quest Casino.
Spokane police say due to the condition of her body and clothes when they found her, they do not believe her death was due to natural causes. That's according to recently filed Spokane County court documents. The medical examiner identified the victim as 47-year-old Jenny Jones. Her family told investigators she won the jackpot last Monday. She also shared that information with neighbors and her apartment manager. Her stepfather told detectives they could not get in touch with her for 2 days, so he went to check on her, and that's when he found her body. Police have not identified any suspects at this time. However, the victim's family believes that Jones died from a medical condition. Our other top story today, Governor Jay Inslee with another big announcement about Washington's reopening plan. The entire state will remain in phase 2 for the foreseeable future.
KREM 2 political reporter Casey Decker has the details on this decision and what it means for local businesses.
Before tonight, the idea was that every 2 weeks, the state would publish updates on 4 key data points for each region. If a region met benchmarks for at least 3 of them, they could either advance to or stay in phase 2. If not, they'd stay in or be booted back to phase 1. But now, Governor Inslee is putting a stop to all that. No more data being published, no more moving between phases. For local businesses, that's in part good news. It means more stability, no more threat of moving back to phase 1. But stability isn't quite progress.
Like I said, when we opened at 25%, it's a step in the right direction. But at 25%, we're still not bringing our full staff back.
Tonight, Governor Inslee said the reason for the change, the current protocols are working. The huge spike we saw in the early winter months has been effectively suppressed, and so we no longer need such a dramatic contingency plan.
Given that unprecedented level that we had in December, we had to design our reopening plan so that it was very sensitive to the potential that COVID would come springing back. But under our current data trends, and the progress we've made to knock down this third wave, they've told us that we don't need this really hair trigger circuit breaker, if you will.
To some restaurant owners, this comes with a feeling of vindication.
It kind of illustrates exactly the point that we were making from the beginning.
They say restaurants have always been relatively safe and are hopeful customers will start believing that too and come in larger numbers.
Governor Inslee said that it was safe for us to be open at 25%. That means that it is safe to dine in.
As for that elusive phase 3, Inslee said today they're working on figuring out what it might look like and may have an announcement in several weeks. Until then, the current level of restrictions will stay as is. Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.
All right, let's pause from the headlines to talk weather. Kind of a snowy morning across the inland northwest, but just as quickly as the snow arrived, it seemed to melt away this afternoon.
That is true. So Thomas Patrick joining us now from the Outdoor Weather Center. So Thomas, can we expect any more snow for the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, well, it was easy come, easy go for the snow today. Some areas getting snow tomorrow, but not everybody. So we'll be keeping that in mind. But I want to start with the winds because it is quite feisty out here for tonight. The winds are coming in from my left, your right, and we have wind advisories that have been issued in response to that for tomorrow and throughout most of the day for these regions. Those wind gusts could be as strong as 45 miles per hour, probably strongest right before daybreak come Friday morning. It's 34 degrees right now, but the sustained winds have been between 20 to 25 miles per hour and already getting wind gusts topping that 40 mile per hour mark. And I think the strongest winds, as mentioned, going to be before about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. They do ease down just a little bit during the day, but I think we're just in for a very windy one overall. But in terms of the snow and the precipitation, it's not going to be unlike what we saw today where we get that morning snow, but it could become very slushy and melty by the time we get to the afternoon. But keeping an eye on winter weather advisories for the Silver Valley and down into the Palouse, where we could see another 2 to 4 inches of snow, which again, not unlike what we saw from earlier today. So I'm going to be tracking how long the snow is going to last for these regions, how long the wind is going to last across the area, and what this upcoming weekend is going to be looking like as well.
I move that we move to the 5-day in-person K through 12 schedule as presented by district admin.
Big news for Coeur d'Alene Public Schools, families and students tonight. The CDA school board has approved bringing K through 12 grades back into the classroom full time.
So this means kids will be in the classroom 5 days a week. This will start after spring break, which is April 5th. Right now, students are attending school 4 times a week, with Wednesdays being used as a remote learning day. Now, under this new schedule, Wednesdays will be a late start day.
I have a lot of respect for their dedication to keeping us safe, even if I have some concerns about the actual effectiveness.
Thousands of Spokane Public School students will be returning to the classroom starting Monday. Students will now transition to a hybrid schedule starting March 1st. 2 groups will rotate days spent in the classrooms to abide with health and safety protocols. Students will also continue virtual learning on their days outside of the classroom. Upon their return, new protocols such as daily health checks and usage of masks will be in place.
Well, still ahead here, nearly a year after being closed, a timeless staple, Spokane staple, will finally be reopening. Everything you need to know about its reopening.
Plus, later on, if you've had the coronavirus and now test positive for antibodies, should you still get vaccinated? We verify, coming up later in the show.